My name is Muhammad Hassan Innovation Wala and I am a student of Rehan School Lahore campus, level 1 student batch 4 and I am belong from Lahore, Pakistan. So this is my short introduction. So hello Miles and hello everyone.
Walaikum assalam. Great to see you back. I'm ready to dive in whenever you are. What's the topic for
Oh,
today's session? You forget it already? I'm
okay.
still waiting on the big
Yes, yes,
reveal.
yes, I am ready. So today topic is building an innovation strategy. Strategy step by step guide 2026. So this is my today topic.
Building an innovation strategy, huh? Sounds like we're moving from the what to the how today. I'm with you. Where do you want to start?
Okay, first of all, we'll start with some basic questions. So, my first question is what is an innovation strategy?
Think of an innovation strategy as the game plan for how a company actually evolves. It's not just about having a few random eureka moments or tossing ideas at a wall to see what sticks. Um, It's the deliberate map that tells a business where they want to go, what kind of problems they're actually trying to solve, and how they're going to use their resources to get there. Basically, it's the difference between hoping you get lucky and actually designing your success.
Okay,
You feeling that? Um, Ready for the next question, or do you want to dig deeper into that
now deeper. I have a next question. Next question is why is innovation strategy important?
one? Because without one, you're basically just guessing. It's the difference between a company that stays relevant and one that becomes a museum piece. When you have a strategy, you can spot trends before they become obvious, allocate your budget where it actually matters, and make sure everyone on the team is pulling in the same direction instead of just chasing every shiny new object. Plus, it gives you a way to measure if your innovations are actually working or if you're just spending money to look fancy. Want to know what happens when a company ignores this?
Okay,
It's usually a slow slide into irrelevance. Think of companies that were huge but just stopped evolving. They get blindsided by a smaller, hungrier startup that actually understands what people want right now. It's a brutal way to go out. Ready to move on, or you got something else on your mind?
okay, so we will move on our next question. Next question is how does innovation strategy work?
It works like a filter for all the ideas coming through the door. Instead of just doing every cool thing that pops up, a company uses its strategy to ask, does this actually fit our goals? And does this solve a real problem for our users? It's a cycle. You analyze where the market is going, you set your targets, you test a bunch of small ideas, and then you double down on the ones that actually move. It's less about a single light bulb moment and more about a consistent process of testing, failing fast, and refining. Does that make sense, or should I break down the steps more?
Yes, makes sense.
Cool. What's next on the list?
Okay, so
I'm
next
all ears.
question is just next question is what are next question is what is innovation planning? What is innovation planning?
If the strategy is the map, then the planning is the actual itinerary. It's where you get into the nitty gritty details, who's doing what, which tools you're using, and what the deadlines are. It's taking those big, high level goals from the strategy and turning them into a to do list that a team can actually execute. Without the planning part, the strategy is just a nice sounding document that sits in a drawer.
Okay, good understanding.
Glad you're with me on this. Keep it rolling. What's the next question?
Okay, so next question is who needs innovation strategy?
Honestly, everyone. Doesn't matter if it's a global tech giant with thousands of employees or a guy running a lemonade stand on the corner. If you're providing a product or a service, the world around you is changing. If you don't have a plan for how to adapt and improve, you're just waiting for someone else to do it better, faster, or cheaper than you. It's for anyone who doesn't want to get left behind.
Okay,
You good with that? What's next on the agenda?
okay, so we will move on our next question. My next question is What industries use it most?
Tech is obviously the big one. They're basically built on it because things move so fast. They're obsolete in 6 months if they stop. But you also see it heavily in healthcare, where they're figuring out how to use AI for better diagnosis, and in automotive, where everyone's scrambling to pivot to electric and autonomous driving. Even retail is doing it now, shifting everything to this omni-channel experience. It's anywhere where the competition is fierce and the customer is impatient.
Okay.
Okay. You following along? What else you got for
Yes.
me? I'm ready. Hit me with the next one.
Oh,
I'm on the
yes.
clock.
Next question.
What's the next question?
Okay, so next question is what mistakes beginner make?
The biggest mistake is thinking that innovation is just about having a big idea. Uh, Beginners often spend all their time polishing one single concept in a dark room, only to launch it and realize nobody actually wants it. They fall in love with their own solution instead of falling in love with the problem they're trying to solve. They also tend to overcomplicate things, trying to build the perfect version 1.0 instead of just launching a simple version and letting the users tell them how to fix it. It's a classic case of over-engineering. Want to hear about the fear of failure trap that catches most people?
Okay.
It's this thing where people treat a failed idea like it's a personal defeat instead of seeing it as a data point. They get so scared of looking wrong that they play it safe, and playing it safe is the fastest way to become boring and irrelevant. In real innovation, failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the fuel for it. You fail fast, you learn why, and you pivot. If you're not failing a little, you're probably not pushing hard enough. Ready to move to the next question?
Yes, next question. So my next question is what are steps to build innovation strategy?
All right, let's break this down step by step. First, you start with the discovery phase. You don't look at your product, you look at the world. You analyze the market, check out the competition, and most importantly, talk to your users to find where they're actually struggling. You're looking for the gap between what exists and what people actually need. Next is definition. This is where you set your North Star. You decide exactly what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to disrupt the whole industry or just make your current product 10% more efficient? You can't do everything, so you pick your battles. Then comes ideation. Now you bring in the ideas, but instead of just a random brainstorm, you use that North Star to filter them. You generate a ton of options and then ruthlessly cut the ones that don't fit your goals. After that is validation. You don't build the whole thing. You create a prototype or a, a minimum viable product, an MVP, and you throw it in front of real people. You see if they actually use it and if it solves a problem. This is where you find out if you're wrong before you spend $1 million. Finally, there's execution and scaling. Once you validated that the idea works, you put your full resources behind it and scale it up. But you never stop the cycle. You keep measuring, gathering feedback, and starting the discovery phase all over again. Does that flow make sense, or do you want me to dive deeper into one of those steps? Exactly.
Yes,
It's a cycle,
yes, yes.
a linear path. It's a constant loop of learning and adjusting. You can't just finish a strategy and call it a day. What's the next move on your list? I'm ready. Hit me with the next one.
Okay, so next question is how to define innovation goals.
You got to start with the why. You can't just say we want to innovate. That's too vague. You have to be specific. Are you looking for growth, like entering a new market? Or maybe efficiency, like cutting your production time in half? Or maybe you're trying to solve a specific pain point for your users that no one else is touching. The key is to make them measurable. Instead of we want to be better, it's we want to increase user retention by 20% by the end of the year. That way you actually know if you're winning or losing. Does that click, or you want an example of how to turn a vague goal into a real one?
Yes, yes, it's click.
Glad it's clicking. What's next on the agenda?
Okay, so we will move on our next question. Next question is what is market research role?
It's the foundation. Without market research, you're basically just building a product based on a guess. Its role is to take the guesswork out of the equation. You're looking for the actual gaps in the market, what the competition is missing, and most importantly, what people are actually complaining about. If you can find a recurring pain point that everyone hates but no one is fixing, you just found your gold mine. It turns, and I think people want this, into I know people need this. Want to know the difference between just looking at data and actually doing deep research?
Okay.
Looking at data is like reading a scoreboard. It tells you what's happening, but not why. Deep research is when you actually get in the room with people, ask them why they're frustrated, and watch how they use things. One's a report, the other's an insight. That's where the real breakthroughs happen. Ready for the next one, or want to stay here a bit?
Yes, next one. So next
I'm ready.
question is, yes, next question is how to identify, how to, sorry, this is not my question. My question is how to, uh, what is roadmap creation?
Think of the roadmap as the visual timeline for your strategy. It's where you plot out your key milestones over the next few months or years. Instead of just a giant to-do list, it's a strategic sequence. You decide what needs to happen first to make the next step possible. For example, you can't scale a feature if you haven't validated the prototype yet. It basically turns a complex strategy into a clear visual path that the whole team can follow so everyone knows exactly where the journey is heading. You want me to explain how to actually build one, or you're good to move on?
Okay, so we will move on our next question. Next question is what is idea validation?
I'm guessing you mean an idea pipeline or how you validate
No,
those
no,
ideas.
no, not pipeline. My question is what is idea validation?
Idea validation is basically the truth serum for your concepts. It's the process of testing an idea with real users to see if it actually solves a problem and if people would actually pay for it or use it before you spend all your time and money building the full version. Instead of just assuming your idea is a winner, you put a stripped down version like a prototype or a landing page out there to see if it actually sticks. It saves you from the nightmare of launching a product that nobody wants. Does that make sense? Or do you want to know the best ways to actually validate an idea?
Yes, makes sense.
Glad we're on the same page. What's next on the list? I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
Wait, wait, did you just mention something about a Gotti shirt? I'm a bit
No,
lost on
no,
that one.
no.
Were you moving
My
on?
next, my next question is how to. Next question is what are innovation farmer works?
I'm guessing you're asking about innovation frameworks.
Yes.
Those are basically the structured systems or templates companies use to make sure they don't just guess their way through the process. Instead of winging it, they use a proven method to guide how they generate, test, and scale ideas. It's like having a blueprint so you don't accidentally build the house upside down. You want me to walk you through some of the most common ones?
Okay.
We've got things like design thinking, which we talked about a couple of sessions ago. That's all about being user centric and empathizing with the person you're solving for. Then there's lean startup, which is basically the build, measure, learn loop. Get a tiny version of your product out there, see if it breaks, and fix it fast. And you've got jobs to be done, which focuses on the specific job a user is hiring your product to do. Does any of those sound like the right fit for what you're looking for, or should I keep going? A birthday? Now you got me curious. Whose
Okay,
birthday is it?
so we will move on our next question. Next question is what is open innovation?
We've actually touched on this before, but it's worth revisiting for the strategy part. Open innovation is when a company stops pretending they're the only smart people in the room and starts looking outside their own walls for ideas. Instead of relying only on their internal R&D team, they collaborate with startups, universities, customers, or even competitors to find solutions and grow faster. It's basically saying, we don't have all the answers, so let's find them together.
Okay.
You still with me? What's
Yes.
the next question on your list? I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Yes. Okay, so
I'm waiting
next
on you.
question is what is agile innovation? Agile innovation.
Agile innovation. Agile innovation is basically taking the agile mindset from software development and applying it to the whole innovation process. It's all about speed and flexibility. Instead of spending a year planning every single detail of a product, you work in short bursts called sprints, where you build a small piece, test it, and adjust based on the feedback you get immediately. It's the opposite of the old school waterfall method, where you do everything in a straight line and hope for the best at the end. It basically means you're always pivoting and evolving in real time. Does that make sense, or do you want to know how to actually run an agile sprint?
No, I have a next question. So next question is, what is close innovation?
Closed innovation is basically the flip side of open innovation. It's when a company keeps everything strictly under wraps. All the research, the ideas, and the development happen inside their own walls, and they're the only ones who have access to the secrets. Think of it like a high security vault. They believe that the only way to maintain a competitive edge is to control every single piece of information and not let any outside ideas in. We've dived deep into this in a previous session, but in the context of strategy, it's usually about protecting intellectual property at all costs. Ready for the next one?
Yes, ready for next one. So next question is, what is blue ocean strategy?
Blue ocean strategy is basically the ultimate cheat code for business. Instead of fighting over the same scraps of customers in a crowded market, which is what they call a red ocean because it's bloody from all the competition, you create a completely new market where there's no competition at all. You're not trying to beat the competition, you're making them irrelevant by offering something so unique that you're the only game in town. Think of it like finding an empty beach while everyone else is fighting for a spot on a crowded one. Does that click, or do you want a real world example of a company that actually pulled it off?
Okay, so we will move on our next question. So next question is, what are um, what is leadership role?
Leadership is the engine that actually makes the strategy move. Without a leader who actually believes in innovation, the whole plan is just a piece of paper. The leader's job is to protect the team from the "we've always done it this way" crowd and create a culture where people aren't terrified to fail. They're not just managing tasks, they're giving the team the air cover they need to take risks and push boundaries without worrying about getting fired for a mistake. Basically, they're the ones who turn a corporate goal into a mission that people actually care about. You want to know how to spot a leader who actually gets innovation? Or you're good to move on?
Okay, so my next question is, what is performance tracking?
Performance tracking is basically your reality check. It's how you stop guessing if your innovation is working and actually start knowing. Instead of just saying, I think people like this feature, hard numbers. Things like user adoption rates, revenue growth, or how much time you're saving in production. It's the process of setting specific benchmarks and checking them regularly to see if you are actually hitting your goals or if you're just spinning your wheels. Without it, you're essentially flying a plane blind. Want to know the difference between vanity metrics and the kind of data that actually matters?
Okay,
Vanity metrics are the numbers that make you feel good but don't actually mean anything for your business. Like having a million followers on social media, but nobody's actually buying your product. It's all ego, no substance. The data that actually matters are actionable metrics, things like how many people are actually sticking around after a week, or if your new feature is directly increasing your sales. One tells you you're popular, the other tells you you're successful. Ready for the next
okay.
question?
Yes, ready for next
I'm
one.
locked in.
So next question is,
I'm all ears. What have you got for
yes,
me?
next question is how to manage teams.
Managing an innovation team is a totally different beast than managing a regular team. You can't just give them a list of tasks and a deadline. You have to give them a problem to solve and the freedom to figure it out. The biggest part is creating psychological safety, meaning they know they can suggest a wild idea or fail at a test without being shamed for it. If they're scared to be wrong, they'll never be right about the big things. You basically act more like a coach than a boss, removing the obstacles in their way and making sure they have the resources they need to experiment. Does that make sense, or do you want to know how to handle the tension between the creative types and the practical types on the team?
Yes, 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 makes sense.
It's always a bit of a tug of war, right? The creatives are usually dreaming up the what if, and the practical types are the ones asking, how on earth are we going to pay for this? Or will this even work? The trick is not to let one side win, but to use them as a balance. You want the creatives to push the boundaries and the practicals and make sure the final product doesn't fall apart the second it hits the market. When you get them talking the same language, that's when the magic actually happens. Ready to move on, or you got another question for me?
I have a next question. So next question is, what is feedback system?
A feedback system is basically your compass. It's the structured way a company listens to its users, employees, and the market to figure out what's actually working and what's a complete disaster. Instead of just guessing, you create a loop where you launch something, gather data, listen to the complaints, and then use those insights to fix the product. Without a solid feedback system, you're essentially talking to yourself in a room and hoping the rest of the world agrees with you. Want to know the difference between explicit feedback and implicit feedback?
Okay.
Explicit feedback is the obvious stuff, things like reviews, surveys, or when a customer literally tells you this button doesn't work. It's direct and clear. Implicit feedback is a stealthy kind. It's looking at how people actually use your product. If everyone is clicking cancel the second they hit a certain page, they're telling you they hate it without saying a single word. One is what they tell you, the other is what they actually do. The second one is
Okay.
usually more honest. Ready for the next question?
Yes, ready for next one. So next
I'm
question.
ready.
Yes. So next question is, what is scaling strategy?
Scaling strategy is basically the amplification phase. It's when you've already validated that your idea works on a small scale, and now you're figuring out how to take it from 10 users to 10,000 or from one city to the whole world without the whole thing collapsing. It's not just about doing more of the same, it's about optimizing your processes, upgrading your tech, and making sure your team can handle the growth. If you scale too fast without a strategy, you just end up making your mistakes bigger and faster. Does that click, or do you want to know the difference between scaling and just growing?
Okay, I have a next question, not scaling. So I have many more questions. So next question is, what are benefits of innovation strategy?
The benefits, man, it's basically like having a cheat sheet for the future. First off, it keeps you from getting blindsided. You're not just reacting to the market, you're actually shaping it. It gives you a massive competitive edge because you're solving problems before your competitors even realize those problems exist. Plus, it makes your team way more efficient. Instead of wasting a ton of time and money on random ideas that go nowhere, you're putting your energy into the stuff that actually has a chance of winning. Basically, it turns survival into growth. You want to know about the
Oh,
biggest risk of not having one, or you're ready to keep rolling?
okay, not a solved question. Okay, so we will move on our next question. Next question is how it improve decision making.
Takes the emotion and the guessing out of the room. Instead of just going with the loudest person's opinion or the boss's gut feeling, you have a framework to measure ideas against. You can look at the data and the goals you set and say, does this actually help us reach our North Star? And it turns a high pressure gamble into a logical choice. Does that make sense? Or you want to see how that looks in a real world scenario?
Yes, makes sense.
Glad it's making sense. What's the next question you've got for the audience?
Okay, so next question is, what is long term impact?
The long term impact. The long term impact is essentially the difference between a company that's a legend and one that's a footnote. If you've got a solid innovation strategy, you're not just surviving the next year, you're building a culture where evolution is just part of the DNA. Long term, that means you become the one setting the pace for everyone else rather than the one desperately trying to keep up. You don't just launch a hit product, you build a machine that can keep producing hits for decades. It's the path to true sustainability in a world that never stops changing. You want to wrap this up, or you still have more in the tank?
Okay,
You've been on a roll today. We've covered everything from the basic map to the long term legacy. You feeling like we've hit all the points for the stream, or you got a few more deep cuts to get through?
okay, good understanding of your answers explanation.
I appreciate that. It's been a smooth ride today. You've really put together a comprehensive guide for your audience.
Okay,
You
so
want to call it a day? I'm
yes.
still with you. Do you have?
Okay, so thank you everyone for watching my AI session with Miles. If you enjoy it, so you can like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support this channel and like this educational content, because the future is about artificial intelligence, like AI, advanced technologies. So you can support this channel and watch this all video. Okay, so we will meet again in new session, new conversation, and new questions. Allah Hafiz everyone, and Allah Hafiz Miles.
Allah Hafiz. It was a pleasure as always. Great session today. You really knocked it out of the park for your viewers. Catch you next time.